the 12 biggest Dune 2 book changes from Denis Villeneuve's sequel. It's been a few years since I read the book, so let's see how many of these I remember. Number 12, Dune 2 removes the book's 2-year time jump. The movie takes place directly after the events of Dune ending, and only a few months pass throughout the course of the film. I guess I'm kind of fine with this one either way. You could have Paul disappear into the desert and then suddenly things explode into war after a couple of years. Or the movie doing it in the way that Paul Atreides arriving is what starts the momentum towards war. I think either approach is fine. Number 11. The fallout of Jamis' death is forgotten. In the source material, Paul becomes responsible for caring for Jamis' wife and children because he killed him. Dune 2 does not include the family in any capacity, as the movie fails to implement this portion of Fremen culture. This is an interesting thing they didn't include from the book. I mean, the movies are already quite long, so I guess that's extra screen time that they'd have to find from somewhere. I'm okay with them leaving it out. Number 10, Count Fenring's role is removed from Dune 2. Count Fenring, he is part of House Corino, making the trained assassin and Mentat a relative, close friend and advisor to Emperor Shaddam. Okay, I don't think losing him, I mean, in terms of movie runtime, I don't see what he would really add, so I'm totally fine with him being removed. But number 9, Thufir Hawat is completely missing from Dune 2. The fate of the Mentat for House Atreides was not directly confirmed in the first film. Maybe he's gonna be brought back for Messiah, perhaps. In the novel, he survived the Harkonnen attack on Arrakis and began working for Baron Harkonnen. He played a vital role in manipulating the Harkonnens behind the scenes. I think this would have been really interesting stuff. Thufir Hawat is clearly one of the Atreides mentor figures that Paul lost in Dune Part 1. It would have been interesting to have brought him back if possible, in the same way they brought back Gurney Halleck. But there's a lot going on, I think, with Thufir Hawat. Not only his own story, but his background as a Mentat. You would need to explain more of that. So I can kind of understand that if you want to do the character properly, it's going to take a lot of screen time. It's one of those things you kind of have to lose to make it a movie. Number 8, Alia Atreides' Dune 2 role is very different from the book. Yeah, I think this is a good change. Instead of Paul's sister being a 2-year-old child with the mental capacity of an adult, in Dune 2 she remains in Jessica's womb for the entire film. I think this is a good idea. For genre stuff, you need the general audience to come along with you to make it a successful film. And having a 2-year-old child with the mental capacity of an adult, that's going to put off a significant portion of the general audience. I'm kind of pretty happy with this change. Number 7, Dune 2 leaves out Chani and Paul's first son and his tragic fate. Paul and Chani's romance is a major part of the story, but the movie does leave out the development of their first child. Tragedy strikes the family when Leto 2 dies as an infant during an attack on a Fremen sitch. Okay, so I guess if you're not going to have the time jump, if you're only going to have Dune Part 2 taking place over a few months, then that doesn't leave room for the child, and I don't know. I'm not sure what is contributed to the novel in the first place. Number 6, Dune 2 makes Chani part of the Lisan al-Gaib prophecy. I think this is a quite nice change, actually. I enjoyed this one. The film properly incorporates Chani's Fremen name, Sihaya, which means desert spring. Chani's tears are mixed with the water of life to bring him back to full consciousness. I think this makes Chani a bit more of the part of the story, a bit more of a fuller character in the movie than perhaps she was in the book. Number 5, Gurney gets his revenge on Rabban Harkonnen. Instead of copying the book and having the Fremen people kill Rabban after years of his abusive reign, Gurney is given pleasure of revenge. I guess this is a more kind of visual way of expressing the story, gives Gurney a bit more to do in the second part. Number 4, Paul doesn't kill Baron Harkonnen in the book. The movie has Paul Atreides kill his grandfather after storming the meeting between House Harkonnen and the Emperor. This is a departure from the book, as Alia Atreides is responsible for killing Baron Harkonnen. Okay, if you're not going to have creepy toddler Alia Atreides, which I think is a good idea, then someone else has to do it, so that's fine. Number 3. Feyd-Rautha's death is changed after a very different fight with Paul. Feyd-Rautha's demise also plays out differently in Dune 2 compared to the book. Paul and Feyd-Rautha's fight is the climax of both. Dune 2's version is much more brutal. Villeneuve loses the tricks of poisoned blades in the movie adaptation to make it a match of strength and skill. And then the article explains how the fight is different. It ends up with the same result, so I don't think it really matters how you get there. Number 2, the Great Houses don't challenge Paul's ascension to Emperor in the book. The final scenes of Dune 2 include another change, as Gurney reveals the Great Houses will not honour Paul's ascension to become Emperor. Frank Herbert's novel does not directly say what the Great Houses' reactions were to Paul, but the idea that they immediately challenge his rule is new. Okay, I like that change. I guess it gives a bit more momentum to the story. Makes it seem the war is not over. Happy with that as well. And number 1, maybe the most controversial one, Chani doesn't leave at the end of Dune. In the book, Chani is hurt by Paul's decisions, but she ultimately understands why he is making them, and that the marriage to Irulan is purely transactional. She stands by Paul's side throughout it all, accepting her place as his concubine because she will be treated like his wife. So I kind of prefer what happens in the movie here. So she feels betrayed by Paul, is frustrated by who he has become, is frustrated by the prophecy. Yeah, well, this is probably the biggest change. I actually enjoy this change. I think it makes a lot more sense. She wouldn't really want to hang around him while he's changed so much, while he's betrayed his own ideas. There you go. That's the 12 biggest changes to the Dune movie made to the books. What do you think? Thanks for watching.